When
When it comes to workplace comedies that make fun of corporate culture, the show most people think of is The Office, either the UK version or the US version. But there are plenty of other good ones, from Andy Richter Controls the Universe.
Just so you know, because this place is so full of white guys, they're probably gonna hire...
Another white guy? We understand.
To The IT Crowd.
Hello, IT? Have you tried turning it off and on again?
To Parks and Recreation.
I'll make sure you don't have to go to any meetings. If anyone comes to see you, I'll scare them away.
Wait, April, if you had to choose between these two ties...
You're hired.
And my personal favorite in this genre is the often overlooked 2009 show Better Off Ted, about the employees of a disturbingly powerful megacorporation called Viridian Dynamics. And there's one episode I particularly like, where the higher-ups at Viridian Dynamics have new motion detectors installed throughout the building. There's just one problem. The motion detectors work fine for people with light skin, but it seems the sensors weren't tested for darker skin tones, resulting in some wacky comic situations for one of the main characters, Lem, a scientist who works in the building. And one of the best moments happens when Lem's boss, Ted, brings this issue to his boss, Veronica, only to discover that she already knows about it.
The system doesn't see black people?
I know. Weird, huh?
That's more than weird, Veronica. That's basically, well, racist.
The company's position is that it's actually the opposite of racist because it's not targeting black people, it's just ignoring them. They insist the worst people can call it is indifferent.
Well, they know it has to be fixed, right? Please, at least say they know that?
Of course they do, and they're working on it. In the meantime, they'd like to remind everyone to celebrate the fact that it does see Hispanics, Asians, Pacific Islanders, and Jews.
I love this scene. It's sharp, it's witty, and it also kind of feels like a thing that could happen. And it's a great illustration of how discrimination doesn't have to be intentional in order to be hurtful. Presumably, no one at Viridian Dynamics intentionally created a system that would discriminate. Viridian doesn't gain anything by preventing its black employees from doing their jobs. It was just a mistake. They failed to test the sensors on darker skin. And things like this do happen in the real world. In 2015, there was a big controversy when Google's photo software offensively misidentified people with darker skin, apparently because there hadn't been enough black faces in the data set it was trained on. And in these sorts of situations, it's so easy to get caught up in arguments about whether this should be called racism. Veronica argues that Viridian's system isn't technically racist because it's not intentionally harming anyone. We're clearly not meant to agree with her in this scene, but I've heard people make this argument in real life, and I understand why. When many people hear the word racist, they imagine over-the-top villains shouting racial epithets and stuff like that. That's how racist characters are frequently portrayed in movies, as intentionally seeking to harm and demean people based on race. And if that's what racism is, then it hardly seems fair to throw a word like that around to describe what was, in all probability, an honest mistake. And yet Ted seems obviously right in this situation. The system may not be intentionally designed to discriminate, but the impact is undeniably racist. I mean, literally, because of the color of his skin, Lem is unable to use the lights, or the elevator, or the water fountain. And the company's attempts at a workaround just make things so much worse. This is what people mean when they talk about institutional racism. It's not malice. But if the people who built the system, tested the system, and approved the system all had light skin, it's easy for them to miss that the system doesn't work for everyone. That then affects the morale and productivity of people further down the chain, which in turn makes it less likely that there will be much black representation in high-level decision-making roles in the future. It's not that anyone means for this to happen, or that they're necessarily bad people, although, unconscious bias can get mixed in there too. But even when everyone's intention is good, the impact is still just as harmful.
I was stuck here because I'm black and a door wouldn't open for me.
What? Why didn't you call security?
I did, spoke to Lamont, nice guy. He spent the night trapped in his kiosk.
Let's be real. I am no expert on what it's like to experience racism. I'm so pale I could have been a body double for Austin Butler in Dune Part 2. But I do try to be a good listener. And this is also a problem that isn't limited to just race. In fact, many of us have experienced something similar in one context or another. And in my case, it made me think of experiences that I've had as a gay man in church. I've often heard pastors say that they want LGBTQ people to feel welcome in their churches, even in churches that don't approve of same-sex marriage. Pastors will say, "We just preach the gospel here. We don't attack gay people with angry sermons. We want everyone to be able to come and hear the gospel." And that is a great attitude to have. The intent is good, but not being attacked isn't the same as being welcomed and cared for as part of the community. No one in these churches called me nasty names or told me I was going to hell. Even if people didn't like that I was gay, they still smiled at me and treated me pleasantly. But sometimes it felt like a fake nice. People who had eagerly sought to hang out with me before they knew I was gay suddenly got a lot busier after they knew I was gay. I wasn't attacked, but I didn't feel welcomed either. I just felt ignored. Like there was a place for everyone else, services and programs to help them find community and family, but there wasn't really a place for me. And look, no group can meet every need of every person. Not every group is going to be a good fit for me or for you. In any group with limited resources, caring for different people's needs always comes with trade-offs. So you have to know what your mission is and who your mission is to. As a gay man, I know that a church that doesn't believe in same-sex marriage isn't going to be a place I'd go to have a same-sex marriage celebrated. But if you are trying to make someone feel included, it's important to remember that ignoring their needs rather than attacking them isn't enough to make them feel cared for. We have to go further, to take an interest in them, to learn about the challenges they're facing, and whenever possible, to include them in the decision-making process for issues that affect them. Because telling people we welcome them is meaningless if we're just ignoring their unique challenges. That doesn't feel like welcome. It feels more like